You are 18 years old, and you still believe that wars belong to other places. They are things that happen on the other side of the sea, in countries with names you cannot pronounce, to people you will never meet. Until the summer of 1940, the war is mostly a voice on the wireless and a list of blacked-out windows and a ration book on the kitchen table. Your name is not important. What matters is that you live in Dover, in a small house 2 streets from the sea, where the fog smells of salt and coal. You work at your father's print shop, setting type by hand, your fingers permanently stained with ink. You are not brave. You are not a hero. You are just a boy who can read a map and tune a radio, which turns out to be worth more than courage when the sky fills with engines. Your best friend's name is Jack Mercer. You have known him since you were 7 years old, when he fell off his bicycle in front of your house and you helped him carry the twisted handlebars home. Jack is tall and restless, with a laugh that fills a room and a habit of finishing your sentences before you say them. His mother, Margaret, runs a small bakery on King Street. She always gives you a warm roll and tells you that you look too thin, even when you are not thin at all. Jack loves the radio even more than you do. The two of you spend hours in his attic, building receivers out of wire and scrap, trying to catch signals from across the water. At night, through the static, you sometimes hear voices speaking languages you do not understand. Jack says it feels like listening to the world breathing. This is the life you know: school, the shop, the bakery, the sea. It is small, but it is yours. You do not yet understand that war has a way of reaching into the smallest rooms and pulling the young ones out. In the autumn of 1940, the sirens become a part of the night. German aircraft cross the channel and the sky above Dover fills with fire. You stand on the cliffs and watch the flashes out over the water, and for the first time the war stops being a voice on the radio and becomes a smell, a sound, a trembling under your feet. Your mother does not sleep well anymore. She mends your clothes by lamplight and pretends not to notice when you and Jack spend whole evenings on the cliffs. Your father, who fought in the First War, says little. When you ask him what it was like, he only says, "You find out who you are when you are afraid." And you pray it is someone you can live with. By the spring of 1941, the bombing is bad enough that Jack makes a decision. He tells you, one evening on the cliff, that he has signed up for the Air Force. He wants to be a pilot. "I'm not going to sit here and let it happen to us," he says. "I'm going to fly at them instead." You tell him he is insane. He laughs. "Come with me," he says. "You're better with a radio than anyone. They need people like you." You think about it for 3 weeks. You watch your mother pretend not to be afraid. You watch your father's hands shake when he reads the paper. And then, one morning, you walk with Jack to the recruitment office and sign your name on a piece of paper that changes everything. Training is not what either of you expected. You are shouted at, drilled, inspected, and shaped until you move and think as part of a crew. Jack becomes a pilot, quick and confident and impossibly young. You are assigned as a radio operator and navigator because you can read signals and map a course better than the instructors. It is during training that Jack starts writing letters. He writes to his mother every week, cheerful letters full of small details and jokes. But he also keeps a second set of letters in a separate notebook where he writes down what he is actually thinking. "The letters I send her," he explains, "are so she won't worry. These ones are the truth." You ask him why he writes the truth at all, if nobody will ever read it. He looks at you, serious for once. "Because somebody should know what I actually thought," he says. "If something happens to me, I want the truth to get home, not just the cheerful part." He makes you promise. "If I don't come back," he says, "you make sure my mother gets the real ones. Not the lies, the real ones." You tell him nothing is going to happen to him. He punches your shoulder and laughs, but you promise. By 1944, you and Jack have flown together for more than 2 years. You have survived raids over Germany, flak, night fighters, and engines that caught fire and somehow came home. Jack has grown quieter. The laugh is still there, but it does not reach his eyes as often. Then comes the mission over France. It is meant to be routine, a bombing run on a rail yard, in and out before dawn. Jack is flying, you are navigating. The weather is bad, and the whole crew is tense. Halfway to the target, the night fighters find you. The first burst tears through the wing. The plane shudders, and Jack is shouting into the intercom, fighting the controls, ordering the crew to bail out. You are thrown from your seat. You see Jack struggling to keep the plane level long enough for everyone to get out. The last thing you hear from him, through the static, is your name. Then the plane is going down, and you are falling through the dark, and the parachute opens, and the world goes silent. You land in a field in France, hidden by the local resistance, and you make it back to England weeks later, just before D-Day. Jack does not come back. His plane went down over the coast. There is no body. There is only a telegram, and his name on a list, and a mother in Dover who does not yet know. You are given Jack's things. In a canvas pouch, tied with string, are the letters. Not the cheerful ones he sent. Those went home month by month. These are the real ones. The truth he wrote in the notebook, folded into envelopes, addressed to his mother. There are 31 of them. You take the pouch. You tell yourself you will deliver them, and then you do not. Months pass. The war in Europe ends. You come home to Dover, to the bakery on King Street, to a mother who cries when she sees you, and a father who shakes your hand without saying anything. You keep the pouch in your coat. Every day you tell yourself you will go to Margaret's house. Every day you turn back. You are afraid. Not of her grief. You have seen too much grief to be afraid of it. You are afraid of what the letters say. You are afraid that one of them is about you. You are afraid that reading the truth will undo you, that Jack wrote down something in the dark that you are not ready to hear. Weeks become months. You help your father in the print shop. You walk past the bakery every morning and keep walking. Your mother notices the pouch and asks what it is. You tell her it is something you should have delivered. She looks at you a long time. Then every day you keep it, she says, you are choosing not to. One morning, in 1946, you finally knock on the door of the bakery. Margaret opens it. She is smaller than you remember, her hair white, her eyes tired. She sees you, and for a moment she looks hopeful, as if you might be bringing news that her son is alive. You have rehearsed this 100 times. You planned to say it was quick, that he did not suffer, that he spoke of her. Instead, you place the pouch on the table and say, "These are his, the real ones." Her hands begin to shake. She does not ask if he suffered. She asks, "Were you with him?" "Yes," you say. "Did you leave him?" "Yes," you say. "It was his order. He stayed with the plane so the crew could get out." The room goes still. She does not forgive you. She does not condemn you. She opens the first envelope and she reads and she cries, and you stay because leaving would be the same cowardice you have been carrying all year. She reads the letters over the following days. When she finishes, she gives you back the empty pouch. Inside is a note. It says, "He came home in his own words." That is what you carried. Thank you. Years pass. You marry a girl from the next town, a teacher who never asks you about the war. You have a son. You reopen the bakery after Margaret dies, out of respect, and you run it for the rest of your working life. You never become a hero. You never speak at ceremonies. You keep one thing, a small radio, built from scrap, that Jack made in the attic when you were boys. When your son asks you what you did in the war, you do not tell him you were only following orders. You tell him that ordinary people can be frightened and still choose to tell the truth. You tell him about Jack before you tell him about yourself. You carry no medals, no photographs from the front. What remains is the radio and the empty pouch and a note that says your friend came home in his own words. Years later, your grandson finds the radio in the attic. He asks what it is. You open the casing, separate the wires, and turn the dial. Static fills the room, then music. Outside, Dover goes about its ordinary life continuing over ground that once burned. You look at the empty pouch on the shelf. For a long time, you believed your promise was only to deliver Jack's letters. It was larger than that. The promise was to refuse the easier version of the story, to tell his mother you left him, to tell your son the uniform did not make you innocent or guilty by itself, but that your choices still belonged to you. You place the empty pouch back on the shelf, close the door, and step outside. There is no battlefield waiting for you, no officer shouting, no promised return to the boy you used to be. Only the difficult life that came after, and the truth you finally chose to carry.